All right, folks, here we go. At it again. Episode number 4 with Bonafide Mike here on my channel.
Great name.
Episode 4 of Just Two People Talking. That's our series. So I'm here sitting with San Antonio music legend Michael Vasquez.
Legend. Wow.
Very much so. He's been in a lot of bands, great vocals, great showman,
Thank you.
done a lot of great music.
Thank you, Michael.
And so we want to hear his story about how he started and what he's doing right now. So without further ado, how did you start singing? When did you discover you had a voice? Or did you listen to the radio as a child and say, try to start singing? Or what are your earliest recollections of like music, wanting to become a singer?
Cool. Okay. The Beatles. Very early, we had one of those big old record players, and my uncle had from Vietnam, or my uncle was in Vietnam, and he had old records. So I would play these two Beatle albums over and over, growing up, over and over again, and just loved to sing. And then once I got into junior high, 6th grade, became a big Kiss fan, and my sister would take me to Sound Warehouse, and we just would look through the records over and over. And in my sophomore year, I got a job at the Hemisphere Arena selling sodas. I was a Coke vendor, cold drinks, and I was there for 4 years. So anything that came through San Antonio Stone City Attractions, I was there for every concert from 1981 to 1984. Spurs games, Southwest Championship Wrestling.
Oh wow, wrestling too, huh?
The Ice Capades, anything that was there, Mike. I was there probably two to three times, 4 times even a week. That was my job, and we used to come in backstage, and it was incredible because I was always looking at the stage. Some way or another, I wanted to be involved in music. So August of 1983, the summer of 83, I started hanging out with my friend Kenneth Ortiz, who was the drummer. And in high school, he had been in various bands, so I would go to his shop and watch him practice, and I would go see his bands play in backyards. I also got to know some guys from McCullum High School that had bands and backyard parties. So when Kenneth graduated in 83, and so did I, he was playing in the band that would become Cyrus, my very first band. And that August of 83, they were trying out singers, and all these guys were coming in, and this one guy came in, and he was just incredible. He nailed Black Sabbath, Children of the Sea. He got the gig. I was like, I'm going to be a roadie. I'm going to be I'm going to be lugging equipment. I was just somehow excited about wanting to do it. And so the guy comes back the next day. I can't do it. My parents say it's the devil's music. And everybody was pissed off. And Al just kind of looks down at me, and he says, why don't you try out? You're always here. You know all the words. Why don't you try out? And in my head, I just literally said, he's right. I either try out or I spend the rest of my life going, what if? And at that time, I did not know how to use my voice. I was a decent performer, but it took me a while to develop but it was a blast, man. I mean, we practiced every other day for 4 years religiously without fail. 1983 to 87, the Cyrus virus was born, and I've met some incredible people, and I just always loved music. I love to sing, even though I wasn't very good at the beginning, and now I've kind of learned to use my voice. And Al says I'm just a cheap mimic, and I kind of said, like, you know what? Okay. There's guys in Vegas that make a lot of money mimicking people. I don't have a problem with that, but I really enjoy singing and doing now. I don't know if that answers the question on that, but that's how all that got started.
I think so, yeah. Did you have any formal voice lessons or?
Very little. I tried going to this one guy, I can't remember his name, and then I tried taking voice lessons in SAC, but the lady hands me some music and she says, practice this at home, and I couldn't read music. Johnny Johnny Cyrus, your doppelganger. No, I shouldn't say that. But
That's okay.
he showed me the scales, like a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And that is what helped me somewhat start understanding, training my ear, getting me going. Al will say that he's responsible, but no, it was really Johnny. So
Let's set the record straight then.
yes, and so from then on, I just really started. It wasn't until I got into petting zoo later on in the maybe like 92, 93, where I actually started realizing, hey, this monitor in front of me is that I can hear myself, and I actually started listening to myself, and I was on a big Jim Morrison kick at that time, so I really enjoyed using that warm baritone or whatever, that just the Sinatra singing, just crooning, if you want to say, and that's what I think. That's where I really found myself more than anything.
That's cool though. So what can you tell us about the infamous Slayer versus Slayer show?
Oh God, that was 1984. We were babies, and Omni Productions was the production company here in San Antonio that was putting on shows at the Via Fontana and the Cameo. And I would really like to know how we got to meet those guys, but they kind of liked us. Oh, they showed up at our show at Harlandale. We played 2 shows at Harlandale High School, and they were both almost sold out, like 700 plus people. And they showed up to the second show, and it was just nuts. So they said, hey man, we're gonna get you on these bills at the Cameo. And back then it was like, we can't pay you, but we can give you a pitcher of beer. And I'm like, I don't drink. And the rest of the guys were, hey, more for us. So November, Slayer versus Slayer at the Via Fontana. We are the opening band. And it was bittersweet because Slayer, our Slayer, the real Slayer, was it was kind of like their farewell show where they were breaking up, and we were first on the bill. And you want to tell me? Can I tell you a funny story about that?
Go ahead. This is your time.
We're backstage, and the guys from Militia, and we're getting ready to go on. And for some reason, I always would carry 2 pairs of spandex. Yes, spandex. We wore spandex back then, and so I'm kind of just jogging in place, trying to get warmed up and get loose. And the drummer from Militia goes, hey dude, your pants are torn, your dick's sticking out. And I was just like, oh shit. And so I changed into another pair of spandex. So we play. If any of you guys that know Phil Salazar from Sound Warehouse fame and Guitar Center fame, and now Sam Ash fame, now Guitar Center, but Phil he's a very good caricature drawer. So I told him the story. So a couple of days later at Sound Warehouse, he shows up with a picture that he drew. And like I said at the beginning, my voice was not very good. But he draws Cyrus on stage, the Via Fontana, and I'm standing there. I got my one of my feet is on the monitor, my pants are torn, my penis is out with a little microphone, and the penis is singing one of the Cyrus songs, Through Thy Night's Eyes, We Dicks Can Sing. And the guys in the band are all looking at me in the drawing, and somebody in the crowd's yelling out, check it out, his dick sings better than he does, which I thought was pretty damn funny, and I've always loved that. But it was a packed house, the Via, seeing Slayer again, our Slayer, do one of their final shows. If not, their final show was bittersweet. The other Slayer, I've never been a big fan, but I remember being there and watching this from the soundboard and watching Tom Araya, and he's going, how many of you guys like making love to older women, the kind you dig up from a grave? This is for all you necrophiliacs out there. And I was like, wow, they just never were really my cup of tea. But Slayer, they're great, but our Slayer, I think, was the best. So that's my Via Fontana story. And
that's a pretty good one. Yeah, I mean, who'd have thunk it, right?
No, I mean, and that's the thing is shoot, that was last year. Last year was 40-year anniversary of that, November 30th, I think, 1984. So last year, and to see Tom Araya wearing a T-shirt with that flyer at one of the last Slayer shows before they retired, I mean, I'm kind of like, wow, I'm this little bitty band that we had it's part of metal history, you know. But
Very much so.
yeah, and I'm very I take a little bit of pride in that, to be honest.
I would too. That's a major accomplishment.
Thank you, Michael.
Uh,
Thank you.
So, how many different bands have you been in? Did you go from that to Petting Zoo?
Yes, yes, and so that the Cyrus thing finished in '87 because there was a. I was probably going to get kicked out because Ray Balderrama, as he was known then, but now became Ray Alder. Uh, I knew they were going to kick me out because Ray was just an incredible singer, and you know, if the Cyrus stuff with Ray is incredible. Him singing the Cyrus, they should. If he would have stayed, Cyrus would have gotten signed because it's just amazing. But I quit. We did a reunion show in '88, and then we tried to do another version of Cyrus after Ray got in Fate's Warning. We put a little Cyrus thing together, but it just didn't work out. I took some time off, and then in '91, I got approached by Sammy Raglan, and that's when the Petting Zoo thing started. And I got to play with the legendary Bob Catlin from Slayer, and that was just amazing for me because I was still like, I'm just this little Mexican kid from the South Side, you know. And there's Bob, you know, Bob was in Slayer and stuff, and so I really that took off like crazy, man. I mean that was like a snowball effect. We did one show and it just blew up.
I remember seeing Petting Zoo at Sneakers.
Yes.
How would you describe that type of music? Because it was not like Cyrus at all.
We were, it was kind of like, a lot of people say we were ahead of the time, but it was kind of like, I look at it as like Faith No More meets Red Hot Chili Peppers meets Jane's Addiction meets rock and roll or heavy metal. And we were a hodgepodge of different things because Sammy, the guitar player, the main songwriter at the time, he was influenced by Pink Floyd, Genesis, Love and Rockets, Bauhaus, all these different bands that he would say, hey, look, listen to this. I want you to sound like this on this song, and this is how I want you to sing this song on this part. And he was just, you know, and for me, that was like really like, I didn't know what to do, and I was just listening to, yes sir, you know, I was like, okay, you know, and I was just trying to follow, you know, be a good soldier and follow orders, you know, and it was mind-blowing at the same time because everything just blew up so fast, and the shows were packed, and we were playing out of town almost every other weekend, and then next thing you know, Sony's coming knocking on the door, and they want to sign us, and I'm like, what? This isn't Southside Cyrus garage time anymore. It was real because Sony was showing up at the shows, and I didn't even know how to handle any of that.
Oh, that's cool. I guess Bob ended up doing that Pseudo Buddha after that.
Well, actually, he got an Evil Mothers first, and then
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
and he did some other stuff, and then him and Quinn did the Pseudo Buddha. Quinn was just the bass player in Petting Zoo, and he was another just great.
He was part of that FIFH.
Fearless Iranians from Hell. Yes, he was. Yes,
yeah,
he was.
I remember seeing him and nobody really remembers that place, the Bone Club.
Oh God, what was it? Was that the one on Couples or no?
I was here
No.
on off of San Pedro.
Yes. Okay. Phases, was it not Phases or no?
Phases was further up, down
Okay.
by San Pedro, but there was a lot. Yeah, it was north of that.
Okay.
But the Bone Club was at one a little bit. I remember I saw DRI there. It's like a tiny place. It's
Yes,
like
yes.
and I know Steve from Hogwild. He used to be the DJ there.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. So, out of all those shows, from there, is that when you started doing the cover bands? Did you
No.
finally gravitate to?
What happened was the Petting Zoo thing left me, should I say, disillusioned.
You can.
Because it was very, you know, there was like this high, and then it just like a massive crash. And I just remember saying, that's it. I'm done with music. I don't want to do this anymore. And I got I stopped. I think I was only working like maybe 2-3 days a week at that time because I was like, I'm in a band, man. I can't work so much. I got to play. I got to jam. And I just said, I got to work. I got to make money. I got to do something. And like yourself, we were working in a record store, and that was a lot of fun. but it doesn't pay much, but it's lots of fun. You get to meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah, it ain't much, but it's honest work.
And so these guys from a blues band call me like in, oh God, I forgot what year it was, and I tried to do that, and I'm just like, again, just trying to find or whatever. And then I literally stopped music for a good 4 or 5 years, I think. And then in 1998, I was working at Musicland at North Star, and we would go see this cover band called The Focus. And one day I walk into work, and the manager, I was the assistant, my manager is like, hey, I have somebody I want you to interview, see if you can hire her. Well, lo and behold, it was Casey, the singer of The Focus. And we hired her, and they said, wouldn't it be crazy if they kicked out their guy singer and they got you? And I'm like, come on, man. So a couple of weeks into it, Casey's like, hey, man, we're having trouble with our guy singer. Would you be interested in trying out? I hear you used to sing. And I was like, man, I haven't sung in years. And she says, well, come on, give it a shot, try out. And so I showed up, and I told them straight out, I said, look, if I suck, tell me. Don't do the whole band thing where like, hey, yeah, man, you're good. And then behind your back, they're trying out other singers. And then once they get the good guy, they give you the boot. But I guess I made the cut. And that's where I really started learning how to use my voice. And it just, that band started off one way, and then we just took off. Once Casey left, we got another girl singer in, Naomi. And once that lineup was solidified, it just took off. I mean, the Max was one of my favorite local cover bands. When I would go see the Max and the Altered Natives. Do you remember the Altered Natives, Mike?
I don't remember that. No.
They used to play at Beauregards.
The Max, though, is that the one when Michael Morales was still there?
No, this was before. This is after Michael Morales. This is when they just became the Max. And Mark Jacobs, he was the sound guy, and then he took over as singer. And whenever I'd go see the Max or the Altered Natives, it was just like everybody's feet is tapping from song one. The vibe is just, everybody just wants to have a good time. And I remember saying like, man, if I could be in a band like that. And Sunday. I remember seeing Sunday at Rock Island, and they were still doing covers. They were doing originals and covers, but Sunday was one of the bands for me as well that just, man. And then when they would do Don't Change by In Excess at the end, I would just go, I want to do that.
Wasn't that the band with Rico?
That's Rico, the infamous, my music mentor, Rico. And Frank Garcia is one of my music mentors as well. But
these guys were Sound Warehouse Southside alumni, right?
Big time. But, I mean, Frank Garcia is the reason my music just, because back then in 1983 and 84, you're like, metal. It's just got to be metal. Journey sucks, metal. REO when it sucks, it's got to be metal, right? And so Frank would schedule me to open up the store with him on Monday mornings. And back then it was it was an actual DJ booth with vinyl, because we're talking 1985. So 2 turntables, all that vinyl underneath. So of course all we were playing was Maiden, Fates Warning, Metallica, and then Frank would open the store with me, and he'd pull out this stuff and put it on, and I'd be like, I didn't see that album. Where did he pull that? But he's playing all this cool music, and I'm just like, man, that sounds pretty cool. Who's that? And who's that? And he turned me on to reggae. He turned me on to jazz, and he turned me on to stuff that a metal, hey, you're not supposed to listen to that. You're just supposed to be metal. And so, and then Rico, man, he is responsible for all us Southside metalheads loving the Smiths, The Cure, Depeche Mode. I mean, when The Queen is Dead came out by the Smiths, if you went to go try to put on like your Maiden album or your Queensryche or your no, brother, woo, brand new band, woo, the Smiths, brother, woo, he would move you out of the way. And this is after hearing it like 5 times already in a row. No, brother, we haven't even played it today, and he would just push you out of the way. He would put the album on, but you just fell in love with the Smiths. And yeah. Rico, like the first time he put The Cure on, and he comes up to me, he said, brother, listen to that, listen. And he grabs my hand. He's like, listen to the lyrics. Let me take your hands. I'm shaking like milk. And I'm going, what's he talking? What's the, let me take your hands. I'm shaking like milk. I'm going, no, brother, 666, the number of the beast. You know, those are lyrics. But he turned me on. It was poetry, stuff that I had never heard. You know, and so.
Yeah, that was totally different. That Frankly Mr. Shankly from Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah,
it's completely different.
No, and Rick O was a DJ at KSYM. So I think he was on Wednesday nights, and he played a lot of Smiths, and he'd always end his set with the Sleep, sing me to sleep, sing by the Smiths, and so all these North Side kids would come into the South Side looking for Rick O, because like Rick O, you know, our hero, and then they would see him and like, you're Rick O, and you know, it was this, you know, I mean, Rick O is, he doesn't realize how much he changed the music.
He became a unicorn.
Yeah, the music landscape on the South Side for all us metalheads, and so, you know, and he's Rick O's, as I say, Rick fucking O, you know. So
what else can you say? That's So what are you doing right now? Are you in a band right now? Are you currently performing anywhere?
I play in church. I do mass sometimes every other Saturday at Amazing Grace Chapel, just me and my acoustic. I was in a band. I got out last November of last year, 2024, and I just jammed with some guys, La Chichara, Anthony Garcia, and Chris Awesome Lawson. We rehearsed a couple of weeks ago at the Blue Star Art Complex. It was a great day. I just thought we were gonna maybe, you know, do a little bit of doodling. And 5 hours later, from 12 to 5, and it was really cool. You know, I mean, who would have ever thought I'd be rehearsing at the Blue Star Art Complex? It's just a beautiful place on a Saturday, and it was a beautiful day, and it was cool. It was so cool. I mean, you know, it was a good release, a very good release. Yeah.
Chris Lawson, is that?
He's a drummer in Pettinger. He was a drummer in Pettinger.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, I think I used to work with him at UPS.
Yes, you did.
And his dad was
Oscar
one of the
Lawson,
one of the royal jesters.
That is, yep. Then he is what do you call it? Rock and roll alumni or just music.
He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's great. His drum set is really cool. He's got this big timpani. Is that what you call them? The big timpanis? Mm-hmm. And he's got it looks like a giant tortilla holder, but it's some kind of drum. And
I know when I worked with him at the time, he was playing with Marcy Grace.
He was playing with them, and then he was also in a variety band, and I always get the name wrong, so I'm not going to try to say the name of the band. But he's just a great guy, man.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I haven't seen him in a long time.
But it was awesome to play with him after years. So we've somewhat discussed the Pettinger reunion.
That would be cool.
Don't know if that's going to happen.
You'd have to get a hold of Bob for that.
Well, we've talked to him, and we just don't know. You know, right now Bob's busy with the Slayer things, and I got to see Slayer this past Saturday in Houston at Hell's Heroes. It was incredible. It was amazing. And to see Bob, as he said, Michael, did you have oodles and oodles of fun? Yes, Bob, I had oodles and oodles of fun.
Wow, that's amazing. So now, given all that, here's a question I've asked other people in interviews. What's your take on the whole AI thing, the way you create music artificially? It's not real. It doesn't have any soul.
So by you saying that, that's been my answer to why, and this is just my opinion. I'm not being he's an old fuddy-duddy and this and that. But I remember when bands used to be in one room creating music together, and the bands would get in the studio and create music together. Well, now everybody lives in different parts of the country or the world. Hey, I'm going to send you the drum tracks, bro. I'm going to send you this. And I think that's why music doesn't have, as you said, feel or soul. That's just my opinion. Because when a band gets together in a room and they're bouncing ideas off of each other and they're working together as a unit, I don't know, it's different than just hitting buttons and, you know, I'm going to record and, you know, I'm recording myself and everything, and I can make everything perfect. And again, kudos to those people that can do that. I'm very in awe of all that, you know. but I just feel that has taken a little bit, as you said, the feel and the soul out of the music.
Yeah, there's no corazon.
When I got
it's not
together,
created organically.
when I
It's
got
just
together with those guys in the Night Miles, Chad and Matt, and their old bass player, they asked me to come jam in 2022, April 2022, and I showed up not knowing any of their music, and Chad starts playing, and I just started, all this stuff just started coming out of me. I've always said I needed a musical enema because I'm full of musical shit. I've always got these melodies going on in my head. I've always got, right? So when he started playing, it just started, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm singing." They're like, "But you don't even know the song." I said, "I know, but whatever chords you're playing, it was, I could literally feel, I don't know, it sounds whatever, funny or whatever, bullshit. No, it's like I could feel just the chords coming and just hitting me here and then making it go up, and these melodies were just coming out, and we created some really great music, right? Like with, and it was one of those things where you knew, like, hey, that was pretty badass, right? That was pretty cool. And I'm not one to, I have a hard time saying, oh, I sounded good, or, I've always had a hard time doing that. But that was like, I left there going like, man, we did some pretty cool stuff today without even knowing, And then next thing you know, getting emails, because Matt would record everything and he would shoot the video. I mean, send us the audio files. Like, dude, this is a pretty cool song that we're coming up with, and so that got me excited. Like, wow, well they felt the same way that I did. And it's good when you have the people in your band that kind of, I'm not saying that. It just feels good to have people like what you do, or like, you know what I mean. I've been in certain bands where we just, but anyway, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll end that on a high note with that. So, right before I end this, do you have any funny sound warehouse stories?
Funny sound warehouse stories. Let me see.
Is there anything that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I saw that?
So, do you remember the big cutouts of the New Kids on the Block we used to have when they came out? They had like life-size cutouts.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Keith, he had the long red hair. Do you remember Keith?
Oh yeah.
So what he was doing, I didn't know that until it happened to me, but he was putting it in the guy's bathroom in the morning. So whenever the morning shift would come in, so what do we do when we go in? You guys make sure you look okay. You clock in, and you open the bathroom door, and there's it would be Donnie Wood. It's like, dude, I opened up the door and there's Donnie Wood. I just screamed, and Keith just goes, dude, you screamed like a girl, and he did it to everybody, and it was just like, and then a high point for me was meeting my idol, Bruce Dickinson, and getting him to sign a picture in the back. Just him and I showed him a photo from it was the Number of the Beast tour, 1982. And they did the in-store at the Sound Warehouse on Military, on the south side. And my friend Julio and some other guys, they skipped school. Julio took his camera and took pictures of them coming out of the bus. And the girl that Julio was messing around with back at the time, she took the picture and gave it to me. And I've had that picture forever. So when they did the in-store at midnight, after it was either the No Prayer for the Dying or the
Yes, it was that one.
Fear of the Dark, one of those.
It was Fear of the Dark. That's
okay. They did the in-store right after the show.
After.
So they showed up like at midnight at our store. So they're walking in and stuff like that, and it just so happens that Bruce and I were in the back, and I showed him that picture, and he just looked at me. He looked at the picture, and I said, "Would you mind signing it?" And he signed it, man, and I was just like, "Wow!" Like that's because that. Iron Maiden is probably, besides of course Beatles, but Iron Maiden is probably my favorite band of all time. I mean, they're just like, I
remember the King Diamond in store on the south side.
I have great pictures of that because I had a camera of the guys from the Unholy Book. I'm gonna shout out to the Unholy Book. The Unholy Book was a local magazine that these guys put together for our Slayer. I'm not San Antonio Slayer, but anyway, so they were going to do an interview with King Diamond, and they said, "Hey man, can you get some pictures of us?" and who I got again that camera that Julio had. He had a really nice camera, and I got to show you some of these photos, Mike, because I got some great ones of King Diamond and Rico. There's one of Rico, myself, King Diamond, Timmy Hansen, the bass player, and Mickey D. And I mean, I got pictures. I got great pictures, man. So, but Sound Warehouse was just an amazing place to work. Great friends like yourself that we're still look how many years later, and we're still friends, brother. We're still, you know, Will Stanford, you know, Richard Popple, you know, and other people, Carol Jerzomic, everybody that we know, Rico. And I just saw Frank Garcia was there too at the Hell's Heroes on Saturday.
And Filthy Phil too.
Filthy Phil Salad Bar.
Yeah.
That character drawing guy. Yeah, I know. Trevor Jacobs. I met. Well,
Bill White.
Bill. That's right.
I don't know where he's at, but
Tiny E, Tiny Elvis, Ruben B.
Oh, Ruben V.
Ruben V,
And he's doing his thing
right.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was so many people that came in and out of that. That was just a golden era of. That'll never happen again.
Well, for me, it was just. I mean, I got to work at the best record store in San Antonio at the time. The San Pedro Sound Warehouse was like the store, you know. Yes, there was Hog Wild, but the San Pedro Sound Warehouse was the record store to me.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think one of my favorite in stores they had was when they had Y&T there.
Oh, I don't know if I was there or not.
I was there for that, and I talked to Dave Minichetti. And the Armored Saint one too. That was awesome too when they did that one.
I was there for the Alice Cooper one when they had who was the big muscle dude?
Oh, Kane Roberts.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah, they had. I mean that.
Craig Chiquiso did. Remember he went New Age.
Yeah.
And he had an in store there.
Yep.
So he performed.
We saw all the good stuff, and so everybody else just missed out. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to end it right there. Thanks so much for your
Michael.
comments, being candid, and just being real, and just keeping it the way it's supposed to be. So once again, thanks a lot. I appreciate it,
Thank you, Michael.
and just we'll just keep looking for you and see what else you can do or what else is out there.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you later then.
man.
Okay.
Peace.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.